Welcome to Whispers in the Wind, Stories of True Crime. The Disappearance of Morgan Nick. Morgan Nick's disappearance on June 9, 1995, shook the small town of Alma, Arkansas, and left a community in anguish. Despite decades of investigation and countless leads, her whereabouts remain unknown. This is the tragic story of Morgan Nick's disappearance and the enduring search for answers. The Vanishing. On the evening of June 9, 1995, 6-year-old Morgan Nick attended a Little League baseball game with her mother, Colleen Nick, at the Alma City Park in Alma, Arkansas. The atmosphere was festive as families gathered to watch the game and enjoy the warm summer evening. Morgan, an energetic and playful child, was excited to be at the park with her friends. As the game drew to a close, Morgan asked her mother if she could join her friends near a sandpile to catch fireflies. Colleen, trusting the familiar surroundings and the presence of other children, reluctantly agreed, reminding Morgan to stay within sight and to be cautious. Colleen watched from a short distance as Morgan and her friends played near the sandpile, their laughter filling the air. However, when Colleen returned to the sandpile a short while later to check on Morgan, her heart sank. Morgan was nowhere to be seen. Panicked, Colleen began searching the park, calling out her daughter's name in a desperate attempt to locate her. As minutes turned into hours and there was still no sign of Morgan, Colleen's fear intensified. She alerted authorities, and within minutes, law enforcement officers descended on the park, launching a frantic search for the missing 6-year-old. Despite the efforts of law enforcement and volunteers, there was no trace of Morgan. The park, once filled with the sounds of laughter and joy, became the epicenter of a harrowing search operation as night fell over Alma, Arkansas. The disappearance of Morgan Nick sent shockwaves through the community, leaving residents bewildered and fearful for the safety of their own children. As the hours stretched into the night, hope began to fade. But Colleen Nick refused to give up. She pleaded for anyone with information about her daughter's whereabouts to come forward, clinging to the hope that Morgan would be found safe and sound. However, as dawn broke over Alma the following day, Morgan remained missing, and the search for answers was only just beginning. The disappearance of Morgan Nick would become one of the most enduring mysteries in Arkansas history, leaving a community shattered and a family forever changed. As the investigation unfolded, the search for answers would take law enforcement and volunteers on a journey filled with twists, turns, and heartbreak, as they desperately sought to unravel the truth behind Morgan's disappearance and bring her home to her family where she belonged. The investigation. In the aftermath of Morgan Nick's disappearance on June 9, 1995, law enforcement agencies from across Arkansas launched an intensive search effort to locate the missing 6-year-old. The Alma City Park, where Morgan was last seen, became the focal point of the investigation, with authorities meticulously combing the area for any clues or evidence that could shed light on her whereabouts. Teams of searchers, including law enforcement officers, K-9 units, and volunteers from the community, conducted grid searches of the park and surrounding areas, scouring every inch of ground for any sign of Morgan. Helicopters equipped with thermal imaging technology were deployed to aid in the search, scanning the landscape for any signs of heat or movement that could indicate a person's presence. Despite the exhaustive efforts of search teams, no trace of Morgan Nick was found in the immediate vicinity of the park. As days turned into weeks, the search expanded beyond Alma, with law enforcement agencies coordinating with neighboring jurisdictions and the FBI to follow up on leads and potential sightings of the missing 6-year-old. Numerous tips and sightings poured in from concerned citizens across the state and beyond, each offering a glimmer of hope that Morgan would be found alive and reunited with her family. However, each lead ultimately led to a dead end, leaving investigators frustrated and the community on edge. As the weeks stretched into months and then years, the investigation into Morgan Nick's disappearance remained active and ongoing. Law enforcement agencies pursued numerous leads and theories, exploring every possible avenue in their quest to uncover the truth behind her vanishing. Despite the passage of time, the case of Morgan Nick's disappearance has never been closed. Law enforcement agencies continue to receive tips and information related to the case, and each lead is diligently investigated in the hopes of finally bringing closure to Morgan's family and justice for the missing 6-year-old. As the investigation into her disappearance continues, the search for answers persists, fueled by the unwavering determination to bring Morgan home and hold those responsible for her disappearance accountable. In the years following Morgan Nick's disappearance on June 9, 1995, law enforcement agencies pursued numerous leads and investigated various suspects in connection with the case. Among the most notable suspects is an unidentified man seen talking to Morgan shortly before she vanished. Eyewitnesses reported seeing a man approach Morgan at the Alma City Park on the evening of her disappearance. Descriptions of the man varied, but he was generally described as a white male in his mid-20s to early 30s, with shoulder-length hair and a beard. Despite extensive efforts to identify and locate this individual, his identity remains unknown. Another theory that gained traction in the investigation is the possibility of Morgan being abducted by a stranger. Law enforcement agencies explored the possibility that Morgan may have been targeted by a predator lurking in the vicinity of the park, waiting for an opportunity to strike. However, without concrete evidence or leads, this theory remained speculative and did not lead to any significant developments in the case. In addition to stranger abduction, other theories have surfaced over the years, including the possibility of Morgan being taken by a human trafficking ring. Law enforcement agencies have investigated potential links to organized crime networks and individuals involved in human trafficking. But again, without concrete evidence or leads, these theories have not led to any breakthroughs in the case. Despite the lack of definitive answers, Morgan Nick's family and law enforcement agencies remain determined to find answers and bring closure to the case. Colleen Nick, Morgan's mother, has become a tireless advocate for missing children, using her daughter's story to raise awareness and support for families of missing persons. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children continues to feature Morgan Nick's case on their website, hoping that renewed attention and public awareness will generate new leads and bring closure to her family. Colleen Nick, Morgan's mother, has become a tireless advocate for missing children, using her daughter's story to raise awareness and support for families of missing persons. Through media appearances, speaking engagements, and outreach efforts, Colleen has worked tirelessly to keep Morgan's case in the public eye and to ensure that her daughter is never forgotten. The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children continues to feature Morgan Nick's case on their website, alongside thousands of other missing children from across the country. The organization provides support to families, law enforcement agencies, and communities affected by missing child cases, offering resources, assistance, and hope to those in need. Law enforcement agencies responsible for investigating Morgan Nick's disappearance remain committed to pursuing every lead and following up on every tip, no matter how small. Over the years, countless tips and sightings have been reported, each offering a potential breakthrough in the case. While many of these leads have ultimately led to dead ends, law enforcement agencies continue to investigate each one diligently, holding out hope that the key to solving the mystery may be just around the corner. In addition to traditional investigative methods, law enforcement agencies have embraced new technologies and techniques to aid in the search for Morgan Nick. Advances in forensic science, DNA analysis, and digital forensics have opened up new avenues of investigation, allowing authorities to re-examine evidence and pursue leads that were previously inaccessible. Despite the challenges and obstacles that lie ahead, the search for Morgan Nick continues. Her family, friends, and supporters remain steadfast in their determination to find answers and bring closure to her case. As long as there are unanswered questions and the possibility of finding Morgan alive, the search will continue, fueled by the unwavering hope that one day she will be reunited with her loved ones where she belongs. As long as there are unanswered questions and the possibility of finding Morgan alive, the search for her will continue. The passage of time has not diminished the determination of those who remain committed to uncovering the truth and bringing closure to her family. In the hearts of her loved ones and the countless individuals touched by her story, Morgan Nick's memory lives on, a beacon of hope and resilience in the face of adversity.
What happened to Morgan Nick? It's a question many people have asked in the nearly 3 decades since the little girl from Ozark, Arkansas disappeared.
Well, last November, police finally revealed a new lead in this cold case, releasing the first and only person of interest. But that man, Billy Jack Links, died before ever telling what he knew.
But that doesn't mean the case is closed. TV11's Mercedes McKay dug deeper into Link's past and his connection to this investigation.
This is the area where Morgan Nick was last seen nearly 27 years ago on June 9, 1995. It's a mystery that's not only shaped her family, but the whole town of Alma, and they aren't giving up any hope.
Even though more time has continued to go by, our belief is that if we fight hard enough, we will find the truth and we will bring her home.
It was a hot summer day in Alma, Arkansas. Colleen Nick's family was invited to a Little League baseball game and decided to make the short trip down from their home in Ozark.
We'd never been to the baseball field. It was our first time there. It's 1 block away from the police department.
Towards the end of the game, Colleen said her daughter Morgan wanted to go catch fireflies with the other kids in the parking lot near the field. She never imagined that could be the last conversation she'd have with her little girl.
She sat down to take sand out of her shoes, and the older children walked off and left her, and that was the last time that anybody saw her.
In a city of about 3,000 people, word traveled fast about Morgan's disappearance. Alma Police Chief Jeff Pointer wasn't with the department at the time, but says he remembers hearing about it instantly.
You know, as days went on, you know, it's almost like that fear that this is not what's supposed to happen in a small town.
Now, almost 27 years later, that thought still haunts Chief Pointer, but in a different way, now that he leads the department.
You look at it as we failed our job. You know, we didn't and haven't brought Morgan home, so I mean, we failed at what we were supposed to do.
Since then, the Alma Police Department has never stopped working Morgan's case. Chief Pointer says new leads have come in daily since she was taken.
I can't say that we're focused on one lead. You know, there's several good leads that we've gotten that we're still working.
While police continued their search for answers, last November, the FBI announced a major development in the case. Investigators named Billy Jack Links as a person of interest, asking the public for any information about him. Links was no stranger to law enforcement, though. According to court documents from August 1995, he attempted to abduct an 11-year-old girl at a Sonic in Van Buren, Arkansas. It happened just 2 months after Morgan's abduction and only 8 miles away from the Wofford baseball field where she was last seen. Links was charged and later convicted for sexual solicitation of a child in the Van Buren case. But one key detail stuck out from the investigation: the vehicle he drove, a red 1986 Chevrolet pickup. For years now, the Alma Police Department has consistently connected a similar red truck, but one with a white camper shell, to Morgan's disappearance.
We have it on video the night of the ball game that Morgan was taken, and that truck can be seen in it, and the owner or whoever was in the vehicle has never been identified.
Court documents show that during witness interviews from Links' conviction, a neighbor told police they, quote, think Links had a camper shell on his red pickup and believes it was 2 months ago when he saw the camper, while Chief Pointer says they've never been able to find and question who owned that truck.
It may not be who took Morgan, but we've never been able to identify who the owner of that truck was.
As for Billy Jack Links, prior to his 1995 conviction, records show he was charged with sexual abuse in 1992. He was sentenced to 6 years in prison, but he wouldn't serve that full time, dying behind bars in 2000 before the FBI could ever name him as a person of interest in Morgan Nick's case. While the mystery still remains of who took her while she was innocently catching fireflies, Chief Pointer says his department won't stop searching for answers.
Until we can bring her home, then we haven't done our job, and it's all about Morgan. I mean, we have to fight for her.
We are looking for you so hard so you can come home.
For the Nick family, they continue to hold on to hope for her return, or at least closure in knowing what happened to her.
Our belief is that somewhere somebody knows the truth about Morgan, and that someday we will know that truth, that we will find that.
Morgan's mother has now devoted her life to helping families like hers through the Morgan Nick Foundation. The Morgan Nick case is still an ongoing investigation, and like we have said this whole time, if you know anything about her disappearance, you're asked to contact the Alma Police Department or the FBI.
Thank you for joining me here at Whispers in the Wind. If you enjoy this channel, please like, share, and subscribe.